Hi, everyone. Welcome to our channel. I want to start today with something that might be a little uncomfortable to hear, but I'm saying it because I genuinely care about where you end up financially and spiritually. But there are a lot of people right now who are doing everything they believe is right with their money. They're making their payments, they're not going out spending recklessly, they're being responsible, they're praying about it, they're trusting God, and yet month after month, nothing changes. And the debt doesn't go down. The stress doesn't go away. And somewhere deep down, there's this quiet voice asking, is this just my life now? Is this just what I have to carry? If that sounds familiar, I want you to stay with me today because I think what you've been calling faithfulness might actually be something else. And understanding the difference could change everything for you. There's a difference between stewardship and suffering. And today we're going to talk about what that actually looks like because only one of them leads somewhere worth going. Here's a version of Christianity that a lot of us grew up with when it comes to money, or at least the version that gets applied to debt. Keep your head down, pay your bills, don't complain, trust God, carry the weight. And for a lot of people carrying serious debt, that posture has quietly become the entire financial plan. Not out of laziness, not out of carelessness, but because they genuinely believe that enduring is the faithful thing to do. They're honoring their commitments, they're showing up, they're suffering faithfully. And I want to say this as gently as possible. That is not stewardship. That's suffering. And there is a real important difference between the two. Here is the core distinction I want you to walk away with today. Stewardship is active, suffering is passive. Stewardship requires engagement, it requires attention, it requires intention. It means looking at your situation honestly, even when it's painful, and then doing something about it. Suffering, on the other hand, is endurance without direction. It's carrying weight with no plan for how to put it down. And here's what's tricky suffering can look a lot like faithfulness from the outside. You're still showing up, you're still paying what you can, you're still trusting God. But on the inside, there's no movement, there's no plan, there's just weight. God never designed you to carry that indefinitely. And scripture is actually very clear about this. In Matthew 25, Jesus tells one of the most well known parables. A master is going on a long journey, and before he leaves, he entrusts three servants with different amounts of money, called talents. The first servant receives 5 talents and puts them to work. He doubles it. The second servant receives 2 talents and does the same. He doubles it. The third servant receives 1 talent, and here's what he does. He goes and buries it in the ground, and he hides it. He plays it safe. Now, here's the part I really want you to hear because this servant did not bury that talent out of rebellion. He didn't bury it out of selfishness or greed. He buried it out of fear. He even tells the master, I was afraid. He thought that protecting what he had was the responsible thing and faithful thing to do. The master did not agree. He called the servant wicked and lazy, not because he lost the money, not because he did something wrong with it, but because he did nothing. Well intentioned passivity, it's not faithfulness. And I think a lot of us are burning our financial talent right now, not because we don't care, because we're afraid, because we don't know what else to do, because enduring feels safer than acting. But the parable makes it clear passivity with what God has entrusted to you is never the same as faithfulness. And if you've been wondering whether taking action with your debt, like restructuring, could actually hurt you more than help, we answered that directly. And does debt restructuring ruin my credit forever? The video, go watch that one right now. It's here on our channel. It might answer the fear that's been keeping you stuck. Okay, moving on. Proverbs 27, verse 23 gives us one of the most practical financial instructions in all of Scripture. And it's short. It says, know well the condition of your flocks and give attention to your herds. Again, Proverbs 27:23. Now, obviously, Solomon wasn't talking about credit cards or interest rates, but the principle is exactly the same. Know well the condition of your finances, give attention to what you've been entrusted with. Don't bury your head, don't look away, don't just endure. Pay attention, be intentional, actively manage what you've been given. That is what stewardship looks like. And it is completely different posture than suffering. I want to really be specific here because I think naming it helps. Suffering looks like making minimum payments for years, sometimes decades, with no real plan to ever actually get free. Every month you pay, every month the balance barely moves, and you just keep going because you don't know what else to do. Suffering looks like carrying financial shame so heavy that you won't talk to anyone about it. Not your spouse, not your financial professional, not anyone, because admitting it out loud feels like failure. So you carry it alone. Suffering looks like assuming that your debt is simply the consequence you have to bear, as though God's interest in your finances stops at the point where you made a mistake. It doesn't. The same God who forgave a debt you could never repay, your sin, is not standing at the edge of your financial life, watching you suffer and calling it holy. He's inviting you to steward your way out. So, what does it actually look like to steward your way out instead of just suffering through? It looks like getting honest about the numbers, not just knowing you have debt, but actually looking at the total, the interest rates, the real timeline of what you owe. That's stewardship. It looks like having a hard conversation with your spouse, sitting down together, looking at the reality of where things stand, and deciding together that you're going to do something about it. That's stewardship. It looks like seeking wise counsel from someone who actually knows how to navigate this instead of white knuckling it alone, hoping God just fixes it while you keep doing the same thing. That's stewardship. It looks like stopping the cycle of month after month payments that go nowhere and starting a plan that actually leads somewhere. That is stewardship. None of that is giving up on your faith. None of that is taking matters into your own hands in a way that dishonors God. All of it is being a faithful steward of what He has entrusted you with. I want to give you a different frame before we close today because I think some of you have been carrying this as a burden you're just supposed to endure. And I want to gently offer you something different because suffering through debt is not a spiritual virtue. It is not what God is asking of you. What He's asking of you is that you be a faithful steward, that you pay attention, that you seek wisdom, that you take the steps available to you, even when they're uncomfortable, even when they feel unfamiliar, even when fear says to just bury it and wait. Because here's what I've seen over and over again in the people we walk with. The moment someone stops suffering and starts stewarding, something shifts, not just in their finances, in their peace, in their marriage, in their relationship with God, because they stopped hiding from the truth and started walking toward it. And that is always where freedom begins. You are not created to endure this indefinitely. You were created to be a faithful, free, and generous steward of what God has given you. Those are very different callings, and only one of them leads somewhere worth going. If you're ready to stop suffering and start stewarding, our team would love to walk with you through that. We offer a free clarity consultation, no pressure, no obligation, just clarity. And the link is below. And if this video helps you use something differently today, click to subscribe, share it with someone who needs to hear it. You never know who in your life is carrying this quietly right now. Remember, freedom starts here. We'll see you in the next one.